Michelle, we're so happy to have you here with us today. Tell us just a little bit about your background.
Sure. I went to school to become a teacher later in my 20s, and one of my assignments during school was to write a book, and that's when Mr. Mingle's Mustache was born. When I became a teacher, I was able to share it with a lot of my classes and my second graders, and they really enjoyed it. So when I had the chance to turn it into a book and into a publisher, it was picked up right away. And then our new book was born. I did get the chance to work with our K-12 art teacher who did the illustrations. So it was really nice to be able to work with her, who was local. And also I got to work with the publisher, who was from Waukesha, so that's also local Wisconsin as well. Mingle was inspired by a neighbor I had when I was a child. It was one man who lived in a house close to me, and he was always busy. He was always doing stuff in his yard, and I thought it would be fun to imagine what he did on a daily basis. So when I wrote the story, it was really fun to think about how his mustache would grow, but he still had to do the work every day that he needed to do. And in the end, he has a great message that says, no matter how hard things get, you can always start over.
So you've written Mr. Mingle's Mustache, and now you are already on a second book called Professor Pigley's Plant. So tell me, Michelle, where did the idea come from for this book?
Well, I wanted to stay true to Mr. Mingle's world, and my illustrator, Allison Benson, did some great characters in Mr. Mingle and put new little characters hidden in each page. And one of them that I fell in love with was the pig. And so another childhood neighbor of mine always had cactuses growing on her front porch. And as a kid, we always went over and we looked at them because cactuses weren't native to Wisconsin. So we thought they were really cool. And she always would say, take one home, take one home. And I was amazed how she just kept growing them. So I kind of took the combination of plants that kept growing and with the pig, and just kind of this new story was born. And it's really a fun story, and it really focuses a lot on friendship. On Wednesday, Professor Pigley's plant was proud and optimistic. To avoid it, planes used moves that were uncharted and futuristic. Will Professor Pigley's plant keep growing? On Thursday, Professor Pigley's plant was pretty impractical. The way it was dodged by the purple martin was quite tactical. Will Professor Pigley's plant keep growing? On Friday, Professor Pigley's plant was prized and progressing, but when it left the atmosphere, it became truly distressing. Will Professor Pigley's plant keep growing? On Saturday, Professor Pigley's plant was peppy and persevering. It began to circle the moon, which became totally interfering. Will Professor Pigley's plant keep growing? On Sunday, Professor Pigley's owner returned perceptive and puzzled. He called all his friends who were strong and muscled. A party he threw for his plant that grew. Each friend took an axe and several strong whacks. Before the crew was tired and through, each burly pal had a potted plant for their own locale. Friendship is riches, share the wealth. Happiness in numbers keeps good health. With his owner home, Professor Pigley was once again peaceful. A bedside portrait was the perfect way to keep the pig gleeful. The end.